Hi, I'm Julie Daugherty, company physical therapist at American Ballet Theatre.
I'm Lindsay Backiev. I'm also a physical therapist with American Ballet Theatre. And today we're going to be talking about stretching your splits, front and center splits.
Hi, I'm Ariana. I'm in the upper 3 level at ABT JKO School.
Hi, my name is Maddox. I'm also in the upper 3 level at ABT JKO School.
We're going to start with a series of kind of part of the split stretches. Working on the front leg first, and then a little bit of the back leg and hip mobility, and then we'll go into full splits. So let's have you guys come up into a runner's lunge for me. Choose your favorite side. And this is a pretty common stretch. Everyone watching this video is probably thinking, yes, this is how I do my stretch. However, as physical therapists, what we see is that there's a lot of stretching of the front of the hip capsule and the ligaments. We want to think about stretching more of the muscles in the front of the hip. So dancers, come back. We're going to think about coming a little bit more stacked over your back knee to start.
And notice how Ariana beautifully corrected her lumbar spine. So go forward again, Ariana, because she really was arching through there, which your body's going to give where it is easiest to give. So if it's easy for her to stretch there, she's going to get that motion there. We bring her back up and get that pelvis aligned, and that is a much better position for her back. And so she's not going to get that excessive stress on her low back.
Yep. And you can achieve this position, this more stable position, through the front of the hip and the low back by thinking of engaging your lower abdominals and squeezing your back glute. And now, keeping this position, dancers, go ahead and shift your weight forward to your front leg, and you'll see that you can't really go as far. How does that feel? The same or different? Different. Okay, so this is a more muscle-focused stretch of the front of the hip. So you're getting a little bit more of the contractile tissue. You're getting that muscle to stretch versus the structures at the front of the hip.
And that is really always our goal in stretching, is we want to target more of the muscle tendinous tissue rather than the joints.
Great. So this is a nice way to stretch the front of the hip of your back leg. So things like grand jeté, arabesque, développé, grand battement, anything that's kind of focused on the back leg extending. If we come into a kneeling hamstring stretch, which they're demonstrating beautifully because they are flexible dancers, come back up just for a moment, and I want you to think about keeping your pelvis square. So you want to think almost like both sits bones are facing back, like 2 arrows. Yes. And then you can see that we've got this nice stretch through the back. We want to think about almost bowing forward to your front thigh, and it can help to keep a little bit of activation in the front quadricep, the front thigh muscle. That will help protect so you're not overstretching the back of your knee. We want to protect those knee joints if you have a little bit of that hyperextension. Great. Beautiful. Let's bend that front knee, and your back leg is going to turn out ever so slightly. So think small attitude derriere. Beautiful. And from here, keep that engagement that we talked about in the first runner's lunge. And I want you to just think about engaging your glute and thinking about pressing forward to shift and then coming back. So we have this gentle mobilization, almost a little more of an active stretch, and then come back. And you can cycle through this up to 10 times, more if you feel like you need it, less if it feels like you're already pretty open through the back of the hip.
And this is helping with the control of that motion as well, which is a huge part of stretching into, especially when you start getting into more extreme positions. Having that muscular control of those positions is super important for protecting your body.
Great. And then let's come to sit on the mat. Your front leg will be straight, and your back leg will be behind you in almost an attitude position. So you're in a half split. So this can be a nice way to just hold, if you're not quite there in your full split, you're in a half split. So you still have the same position of your front leg. You've got a nice engagement through the lower abdominals and protection of your spine. Your front leg is engaged. You can turn it out slightly if that feels more comfortable. You can keep it parallel. And then you've got a little bit of the attitude devant, or attitude derriere, excuse me, the position for that back leg. How's that feel? A progression would be to bow forward with a straight spine, so you get a little bit more of that hamstring stretch. And you always want to go to a place where it's maybe slightly uncomfortable but not painful. And then pressing the palms down, you can go ahead and lift yourself up, try to square your pelvis, and then go into your split. Beautiful. And holding 60 to 90 seconds. And Ariana, think about engaging your lower belly and glute. Yes. So now you have your full grand jeté saut de chat position. This is what you would achieve in the air.
So that's just supporting your low back again, making sure that you're not hanging out into those ligaments and all that mobility that a lot of dancers have, but trying to control it. So then just talking briefly about the importance of making sure that you have both dynamic, you have flexibility, but you also need to be able to control that flexibility. So if you've just worked on your splits, you may want to then follow up with doing something like holding your leg up with your hand in a standing position, and then can you let go of that leg and hold it and maintain the position so that you're working the muscles in that new range of motion you've gained. So we always want to make sure that we balance the flexibility with a control. So new range of motion means you got to find muscle control to manage that new range of motion, right? Okay, balance is important. So the reason I find the oversplits a difficult topic is because when you guys look at social media posts of people doing oversplits or extreme stretches, it looks sort of amazing and people are like, oh wow, isn't that amazing? Look what they can do. I want to do that. But when, as a physical therapist and seeing what happens to joints when you do these kind of extreme stretches and oversplits, it's really not great. It's not a good thing to necessarily spend your time doing. There's so many more things that make a better dancer than spending that time doing those extreme stretches. So, but is it appealing to listen to me telling you not to do something? I don't know, probably not. So that's where the problem lies, but we're still trying.
And I think if you're going to try the oversplits, or if you're going to stretch into oversplits, there's a safer way to do it. So that's really just, it's our responsibility and our hope that we give you this information and that you can use it for your own body, because everybody's body is different, but making it as safe of a stretch as possible is really the goal. Because there are very flexible people all over the world that stretch into a split and they feel nothing, because their muscle length is quite long. And then there are people who can't touch their toes. And both are equally valid.
Yes.
I'm curious, do you guys stretch over splits? They're like, absolutely.
Yes,
Maddox is like, 100%, I'm in. I'm in.
All right, so do you want to put it underneath?
What do you normally use, Maddox?
I use just a foam roller. I don't do too crazy.
Okay.
And where do you feel that, Maddox?
I don't feel it.
That part, right, okay.
I don't know.
I mean, it's good because at least he's not hyperextending
Yeah, you're not hyperextending,
excessively in your
yeah.
knee, so that's nice.
It just kind of feels like it makes more room.
Mm-hmm.
And my, I don't know.
In your hip, in your,
Yeah.
like the front of your
Yeah.
hip and your
Yes.
hamstring? Yeah. Yeah, I would just try, when you're in that position, when you are stretching, I would try to keep your quad engaged a little bit. So think about pulling your kneecap up a little bit, because that will help to protect this joint, so that you're not just sagging into your hyperextension. You weren't before, but I think, yes, just because that's really functionally the position that you need to be in whenever you're doing a battement or grand jeté or continue. Soda shot, anything, right? You don't necessarily want your knee to be relaxed. You want to think about extending that line and really completing that pulled kneecap. Yeah.
We recently did an informal poll of our ABT company dancers, and most of them did not and do not stretch into oversplits. So they're professional dancers and they don't do the oversplits. If you still want to try the oversplits, we advise you to start with a very low height of either the front or the back leg and make sure that you are still feeling the stretch in the muscles. If you are feeling pain or deep pulling in the hip joints or behind the knees, this is likely telling you the joints rather than the muscles are stretching. So we want to thank you all for joining us and talking about stretching and your splits and safe ways to do that is going to make you healthier, stronger dancer in your career.
Happy stretching.